The town of Red Hollow had one rule nobody dared to break. Stay away from Colt Mercer. The cowboy lived alone at the edge of the desert, where the wind never stopped howling and trouble always seemed to find him first. People feared him. Women whispered about him. Men avoided his eyes. And Evelyn Hart belonged to another man, Sheriff Damian Reed, the most respected man in town. The kind of man mothers trusted and fathers admired. But Evelyn had stopped loving him a long time ago. She only stayed because leaving felt impossible. Every morning felt the same. Cold breakfast, cold silence, cold hands touching her shoulder like obligation instead of love. Until the day she saw Colt again. It happened near the horse market. Dust swirled between them as Colt stepped off his black horse, his hat low over his eyes. Evelyn froze, because even after all these years, he still looked at her like he remembered everything. Every stolen glance, every secret smile, every moment they were never supposed to have. Evelyn. Her heart stumbled hearing his voice. Colt. He stepped closer. Too close. You shouldn't be here, she whispered. A dangerous smirk touched his lips. And yet you keep looking for me. Before she could answer, Damian appeared behind her, his hand wrapped around her waist possessively. Everything all right here? Colt's jaw tightened instantly. Evelyn felt the tension snap between them like a loaded gun. Damian smiled, but there was warning in his eyes. You should leave town again, Mercer. Colt never looked away from Evelyn. Maybe I finally found reason to stay. Damian's grip tightened painfully on her waist. Evelyn forced a smile. We should go. But as Damian led her away, she felt Colt's eyes burning into her back. And somehow, that terrified her more than it should have. That night, rain crashed against the windows of the sheriff's house. Damian sat drinking whiskey in silence. Evelyn stood near the fireplace, pretending to read. You saw him today, Damian suddenly said. Her stomach tightened. Everyone saw him. I know the way he looks at you. Silence. Then he stood slowly, heavy boots crossing the wooden floor. You forget who pulled you out of poverty, he muttered. You forget who gave you this life. Evelyn's voice trembled. I never asked for this life. His eyes darkened instantly. The room became dangerous. You're my wife. The words hit like chains. Not love, ownership. He stepped closer, fingers gripping her chin. You stay away from Colt Mercer. Evelyn pulled away quietly. And if I don't? For one terrifying second, Damian looked like a stranger. Then came a knock at the door. Damian cursed under his breath and opened it. A deputy stood outside, soaked from rain. There's trouble at the saloon. Damian grabbed his coat immediately. Before leaving, he looked back at Evelyn. Don't test me. The door slammed shut, and the moment he disappeared into the storm, Evelyn breathed again. Minutes later, another knock echoed through the house. Soft this time. Careful. Her pulse raced as she opened the door. Colt stood there drenched in rainwater, hat low, eyes dark. What are you doing here? She whispered. I tried staying away. Thunder cracked across the sky. Colt stepped closer. But you make it impossible. Evelyn's breath caught. This is wrong. Probably. His fingers brushed her slowly. But tell me you don't think about me too. She should have stepped back. Should have closed the door. Should have remembered whose ring sat on her finger. Instead, she whispered the truth. Every single day. Colt stared at her like he'd been starving for those words. Then suddenly, horse hooves thundered outside. Damian was back early. If this love story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more emotional romance stories every week. And tell me in the comments, would you choose the safe life or the person who makes you feel alive? Damian's boots hit the wooden porch like gunfire. Evelyn froze. Colt didn't move, not even a step back. The rain outside grew louder, as if the storm itself was watching. A shadow formed through the frosted glass window. Damian Reed. Evelyn's heart pounded so hard she could hear in her ears. Open the door. Damian's voice cut through the wood. Calm, controlled, dangerous. Colt finally turned his head slightly. A faint smirk touched his lips. Looks like your husband came back early. Evelyn grabbed Colt's arm. Please, just go. For the first time, something flickered in his eyes. Not fear, not doubt, reluctance. You're shaking, Colt said quietly. I said go. A hard knock, then another. Evelyn. Damien snapped. The name wasn't a call. It was a warning. Colt stepped closer, instead of leaving. You still want me gone? Evelyn's breath broke. I can't do this right now. Colt studied her face like he was memorizing the truth she couldn't say out loud. Then slowly, he let go. I won't stay where I'm only wanted in silence. He turned toward the door. Evelyn grabbed his wrist before she could think. The touch stopped him instantly. Thunder cracked again. I didn't say I don't want you, she whispered. A long silence. Heavy. Dangerous. Colt looked at her hand, holding him, then at her eyes. You should decide what you want, he said softly, because I'm done being your secret. Another violent knock shook the house. Evelyn, open this door. She released Colt immediately, panic rising. Go, please. This time he listened, but as he walked toward the back exit, he stopped. Without turning, he said, when he hurts you, I won't ask permission next time. And then he was gone into the rain. Evelyn stood frozen, heart splitting between fear and something she refused to name. The door slammed open. Damien stepped inside, soaked. Eyes scanning the room instantly. Who was here? Evelyn forced herself to breathe. No one. His gaze dropped to the faint, wet footprints near the floor, then to her shaking hands. Slowly, he walked closer. Don't lie to me. Evelyn stepped back. I said no one. A tense silence filled the room. Damien's jaw tightened. Then he suddenly smiled. But it wasn't warm. It was knowing. You think I don't see it? He said quietly. Evelyn's stomach dropped. You think I don't know what he wants? He reached out and touched her hair gently. Too gently. That man is poison, he whispered. Evelyn flinched. Damien's voice lowered. And you're already infected. A chill ran through her spine. He stepped away, removing his coat slowly, then said something that made her blood freeze. I saw his horse tracks outside. Evelyn's breath stopped. Damien turned toward the fire, calm again. Next time, he said softly, I won't come alone. And in that moment, Evelyn realized this wasn't just love anymore. It was a war waiting to happen. The next morning, Red Hollow felt different, quieter, like the town itself was holding its breath. Evelyn stood by the kitchen window, staring at the empty road outside. No Colt, no riders, no signs of last night, except the memory burning in her skin. Damien had already left before sunrise. Official business, he said coldly, but his eyes lingered too long before he went out. Too calculating, too aware. Evelyn wrapped her arms around herself. She told herself it was over. That one moment of weakness didn't mean anything. That Colt would understand. That Damien wouldn't suspect. But deep down, she knew none of that was true. A sudden knock shattered the silence. Her heart jumped instantly. Not Damien's knock. Not loud. Not demanding. Soft. Careful. Evelyn hesitated before opening the door. Colt stood there again. This time not drenched. Not rushed. Just still. Watching her like he'd been standing there all night. You came back, she whispered. I never left, he said. Her breath caught. Colt stepped inside without waiting for permission. The door closed behind him. The house felt smaller instantly. You shouldn't be here, she said again, weaker this time. Colt looked around the room. Neither should you. Silence. Evelyn's eyes dropped. I thought you were gone. I was deciding. Deciding what? Colt stepped closer. The air between them tightened. Whether you were worth the trouble you bring with you. Her heart stopped. That's not fair. He gave a short, humorless breath. Nothing about this is fair. A long pause. Then softer. You said every day, he reminded her. Evelyn swallowed hard. I didn't mean... You did. His voice wasn't angry. It was certain. That certainty shook her more than anger ever could. Outside, a horse whinnied in the distance. Evelyn stiffened. Colt noticed instantly. His men. She didn't answer. That was enough. Colt's jaw tightened. You're not safe here. I am safe, she snapped quietly. I have been safe. Safe isn't this, he said, gesturing between them. This is not safe. Evelyn's voice cracked. Then why do you keep coming back? Colt stepped closer until there was no space left to escape. Because I can't pretend I don't feel it anymore. Her breath hitched. The world outside felt far away, like the house didn't exist, like nothing existed except him. Evelyn whispered, almost breaking, "If Damien finds you here..." A faint, dangerous calm entered Colt's eyes. Let him. Her pulse spiked. Colt, but before she could finish. Footsteps. Outside. Not one. Multiple. Slow. Deliberate. Colt turned his head toward the sound immediately. Evelyn went pale. She knew that rhythm. Boots in formation. Sheriff's men. Damien's men. Colt didn't move away from her. Instead, he leaned slightly closer and whispered, "Too late." The front door handle turned. Evelyn stepped back in panic. Colt stayed exactly where he was. The door began to open, and the first voice she heard wasn't Damien's. It was a deputy. "He's inside, Sheriff." A pause. Then Damien Reed stepped into the doorway. His eyes landed on Colt instantly, then on Evelyn standing too close. Too exposed, too guilty, and the silence that followed was worse than any gunshot. Damien smiled slowly. "I told you," he said softly. Then his gaze sharpened. "I always come prepared." Damien Reed stepped fully into the house. The door closed behind him like a sentence being sealed. His deputies remained outside, shadows moving past windows. Evelyn couldn't breathe. Colt didn't move. Not an inch. Just standing there like the storm had finally found him. Damien's eyes moved between them. Slow, controlled, dangerously calm. "So," he said quietly, "this is how it's going to be." Evelyn stepped forward instantly. "Damien, it's not what you think." He raised a hand. She stopped mid-sentence. Not because he shouted, because he didn't. That silence was worse. "I don't care what it is," Damien said, his gaze locked on Colt. "I care what it becomes." Colt finally spoke. "Then you already lost control of it." A flicker crossed Damien's face. Just for a second. Then it was gone. He smiled again. Cold, measured. "You think you're the first man to walk into my house and challenge me?" Colt's voice stayed low. "I'm not challenging you." A pause. "I'm ending this." Evelyn's heart dropped. "Colt, don't." But Damien stepped forward instantly. "You don't give orders here," Damien said sharply. Colt finally turned fully toward him, and the air changed, like the room itself tightened. "I'm not here for your permission," Colt replied. Damien's hand drifted near his belt, not fully drawing. "Not yet." A warning. Evelyn saw it, and panic snapped inside her. "Stop," she shouted. Both men paused. For the first time, she looked between them, trembling. "This is not a fight," she said. "This is my life." Silence. Heavy. Damien studied her. Something unreadable in his eyes. Then softer. "You made your choice when you married me." Evelyn shook her head. "I didn't choose you." That hit harder than anything else. Even Colt glanced at her. Damien's expression finally cracked. Just slightly. Then hardened again. "Say it again," he whispered. Evelyn swallowed, but she didn't look away. "I didn't choose you." A long stillness. Then Damien stepped back slowly, almost like accepting it. Almost. Then he spoke. "Fine." Colt narrowed his eyes. Damien looked at both of them now, like pieces on a board. "I'll leave you two to your truth." Evelyn frowned. That didn't sound like surrender. It sounded like planning. Damien walked toward the door. Before leaving, he stopped. Without turning fully, he said, "But understand this." The room went silent. "If I lose my wife..." A pause. "I don't lose alone." Then he stepped out. The door shut. Quiet returned. But it wasn't peace. It was warning. Evelyn exhaled shakily. "What did he mean?" she whispered. Colt stared at the door, his jaw tight. "I think," he said slowly, "he just declared war." Evelyn's eyes widened. Outside, horses moved, men repositioning, metal clinking, and far in the distance, a single gun cocked. Colt looked at her then, not angry, not afraid, just certain. "Stay behind me," he said. Evelyn's voice barely came out. "This doesn't end well, does it?" Colt reached for his gun. "No," he said quietly. "It ends. That's all I can promise." And as footsteps surrounded the house, the storm finally broke.